what we getting at is the technology that they had, that these people had in the 1900s.
Okay, so how did we get to using the term Tartaria to refer to this ancient architecture and this ancient technology they used to develop this architecture?
Right.
The reason why is because we got the receipts. I don't know if he was able to download them, but Tartaria was in reference to a specific geography and a specific group of people that had higher technology and construction in a specific area. It's like the word for knockout came, I'm a Tyson your ass.
Yeah.
Right? So it became a colloquial term for all ancient advanced civilizations based on a current civilization that's been around since ancient times.
Right.
Right? So when you look at places that was here, like Angkor Wat, that who built it? It don't matter who built it. Read the architecture. There's a message in it.
Go ahead.
Right? So they got this guy named Fulcanelli, and he's what you call an architectural mystic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his field of study, is to read the architecture and design in the buildings. Mm-hmm. We don't know. When you look at the top of that building right there, those are mammary glands.
Man, go ahead, bro. You telling me? Let me write this down.
Them titties and nipples.
Go ahead.
Right? That was from the matriarchy. That's why it's a permanent structure in Islam, is because they adopted it from the matriarchs.
Doc said all what you said. All what you're saying, Doc.
Right. The patriarch symbol is what we call the obelisk,
mm-hmm.
which represents the phallus of the father.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a Vesica Pisces at the bottom of it, then the father is gone rogue. The Vesica Pisces is the potent penetration of the father into the mother in order to produce the next. Symbolism.
Mm.
Right? So they have these things. The minaret is the phallus symbol. The long, tall building they call a dime front. Right?
Mm.
So it's a phallus, but he ain't telling you that he's usurping the matriarchy. When you choose Allah over Allah, that means that you don't know your history and you don't know what your language was doing over the years.
A lot of the architect got feminine structures. I have to write that
Especially
down.
When you start talking about ancient architecture, it's a lot of feminine qualities to the art.
The very feminine.
A lot of the art was done by women until they patriarchy banned them from doing it. This is all historical records around the world. You gotta remember, India is the oldest continuous unaltered colonized people. They've been had the same culture in India for about 60,000 straight years.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, now remember, before first dynastic Kemet, the pyramids was already there. Let that sink in. Before the first dynasty rose in Egypt, the pyramids were already ancient. And we thinking the first dynasty is ancient history. Right? When we get into this, there's a subsection called prehistory in the historical record of academia. When you start studying prehistory, you start saying, wait a minute, the narrative they gave us under Darwinism was that we was in caves around fires and crawled out the caves and built civilization over this many years.
Right.
But how can you have a prehistory with all of these intricately designed structures if the history is correct? Because according to them, the human species is 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
A species.
That don't even make sense based on their literature they produce, because Abraham was supposed to be approximately 4200 BC.
Right.
Right? And that would make us Abraham 6,000 years from us. So if people are only 6,000 years old, wait a minute. Who was before Abraham? How long was it between Abraham and Adam?
He had a mother.
Now remember, in the books, the first books, when they talk about Adam and Eve was living 1,000 years. How old was Methuselah?
Go ahead.
Right? They was old ancient ones. So then Abraham come along after the 120-year cap is put on, the telomere stripped back to only last 120 years. This was a carryover from the Anunnaki tablets.
Yeah, Enlil.
Because he wanted to limit the lifespan of man, so he couldn't live long enough to think on the level of the ancient gods.
I'm starting to believe that's who did this, bro. I'm believing. Go ahead. I'm starting to believe that they reset us. That Enlil reset us recently, like in the 1900s.
We went through a lot of stuff. They use the medical field to break our genetics down and cause us to acquire illnesses. A lot of the stuff that they tell us that, like, oh, this mummy, he died from this one, that. No, they didn't. They didn't. Because back then, we didn't get sick like that.
Yeah, none of
with cancer.
That's right.
Cancer is new. Cancer not even 200 years old. Let that sink in. Where it come from then?
Dang. Probably eat meat.
When you go back to the Nobel Prize winning Otto von Bismarck, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for finding the cause and the cure for all types of cancer in 1932. Otto von Warburg, that's his name. Otto von Bismarck was the founder of the Second Reich. Anyway, so we started getting sick in the 1900s because we didn't even need doctors. We had medicine men and herbalists, and we go through age-related stuff. We go to the herbalist, he give us a dietary fix to the problem, and we don't have the problem no more. And we go on about smoking our cigarettes from 5 to 105 with no cancer, no lung cancer. All of a sudden now you catch a lung. It's not the cigarettes. It's the chemicals they putting on the cigarettes that's causing the cancer.
Cigarettes, yeah. They putting 4,000 chemicals.
And remember, one of the chemicals they use to dust the tobacco crops is a strain of uranium. What's uranium used for? To make atomic bombs.
Right.
It's reactive, nuclear reactive. So it's put radiation on the plant. Then they got certain isotopes they put on the plant. Wait, why you got to break down stuff to isotopes to put on the plant? Right? When we use the natural earth, we go out harvest the tobacco leaves and we chop the stalks up to be fertilizer for the next season. Probably throw a little cow dung or bison dung over in there, just to enrich the soil. And after a short period of time, it'll all come up green again. Till the soil, plant the tobacco, do it all over again. They don't do that no more. 1932, Senate Select Committee declared that all of the land was nutritionally depleted from excessive farming.
Oh, crap.
So they already knew. Then they declared that because of the lack of nutrients in the soil, it would require the future generations to need to supplement the nutritional value through vitamins and supplementation and mineral supplementation.
Hey, I gotta play these next clips. Now I'm gonna play 2 clips back to back, and then I got a couple questions, and I got
Okay.
and I got a question to go with something you just asked. But I'm writing everything down. That's why I like have. I'm glad I got this notepad when I'm on with you. I'm glad I got this notepad, right? Hey, so yeah, let me go ahead and play these next 2 clips that I'm gonna utterly impossible for that stadium to be built in between 1922 to 1923 with all that granite. Where they get all that granite from? And then if you go look it up, it's farther than 10 miles away to get granite to that spot. So pretty much that spot was built before they came over here. So it ain't no telling how it could have been built as a cathedral or as a coliseum before 1492. So, and I got more. I got more. I'm gonna show you, but that's just one. Go ahead, Rod. Go ahead.
You remember the show we did about them turning our castles into prisons?
Yeah, I got some on that too. I got a clip on that too.
It's the same thing. Why would it be any different?
Right.
They turned our coliseums into sports arenas.
Right.
Now, unlike the Silver Dome, people in Pontiac watched the Silver Dome be built from the ground up. Like it was a local tourist attraction to go see the construction of the Silver Dome, so we know what happened.
Right.
The palace. We used to drive past when they was building the palace. You could see the palace under construction.
Right.
Just like now it's gone. It's something entirely different there now where the palace used to be.
Wow.
We've seen that stuff happen. And we've seen how it was done and how long it took.
Yeah.
And it took almost 3 years to build the palace. It took a couple of years to build the Silver Dome.
Yeah.
My uncle worked on the Sears Tower, so we know that was built because I got a family member that was part of the construction crew that was a skywalker. He was walking on them beams that used to be you see in the old black and white movies.
Right.
But that most of Chicago downtown, is older than they tell us. Part of Chicago, where we call the downtown Chicago area, the Gold Coast, part of that is in the lake. Everybody in Chicago just know it. It's not even like it's a big deal that we know it. It's like we all know that it's under the lake is part of the downtown Chicago area.
Yeah, I got a clip on that too.
So they had what was called shelves. And they blew the shelf in order to sink the city. The same thing they did with St. Bernard Parish. By strategically placing explosives, you make a shelf crack away from the water. And then it'll sink. Because it's laying on top of water. So if you look at Lake Michigan and right off Chicago, part of the city is underwater because of the wars. You go to Louisiana off where St. Bernard Parish is, you will see church steeples sticking out the water.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've been
That's because it was a city on the part of the city was on the shelf.
Yeah.
We know that New Orleans is below sea level.
That's right.
And the shelf was one of the land barriers that they had to build dikes to replace once they blew the shelf off because there's nothing to stop the water from coming in. So we know that a lot of the stuff they told us in history has been retold under different names and descriptions, but it's still the same. They want us to believe that this land was totally undeveloped, uninhabited. It was nothing but jungle over here and a couple savage half humans that were swinging from trees
with thongs and spears.
And nothing can be further from the truth.
Man,
all you got to do is go back to the Pilgrim story. The Pilgrims couldn't survive here
without us.
They was dying.
That's right.
Till some natives came along and fed them. What these white bastards give us back in return? They gave us Black Friday, the Great Massacre.
Dang.
The Pequot Massacre. caught us eating all that turkey, tryptophan, smoking all them herbs, and drinking that alcohol. Party hard and dancing around the fire.
Damn.
And then when we we all take it in for the night, 2, 3 in the morning. Then they come in 4, 5 in the morning and slaughter us in our sleep. We know what happened. We just gotta remember that the people that's in control is not gonna never give us the narrative that we need to see what happened to the collective of our people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you?
Well, go ahead on.
No, that's what I was gonna say. So we had to already have advanced civilized, and I'm gonna play this next clip too. For the shout out Brooklyn, man. Shout out New York, Harlem, everywhere in New York, right? The 5 Boroughs, right? Shout out the 5 Boroughs, right? But hey, we about to play this next clip for y'all in Brooklyn, man. About the Brooklyn Bridge. This is about to get another one of the Brooklyn Bridge being there prior to them, and they just discovering that it was a bunk. I mean, well, like a little tunnel, and it might go on. They didn't go down. I don't know if they ain't saying nothing about going down there, but you know they sent a team down there to see where it connect to. Right, but it's just another thing where they lie. We catching them in the lies about they saying this was built, and I got more from the road where they say, oh, this was built in a year in Chicago, the World Fair. They said they built the World Fair at Chicago in 1 year, and then they burned it out. It was all plastic, and they burned it down. That's what they told us. That's the lie they gave us. Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, they said a great fire was started in Chicago by cow knocking over a lantern. Mm-hmm. Right? So all this stuff they textures is not telling the same story that they telling us. Right? So you had people that had access to materials from the era. Right? The hardest books to find right now is the books written in the 1400s. The English don't even look the same.
Right.
Do the thing. The O'Leary burn started in the O'Leary burn on October 8th, 1871. Factors like the drought conditions, strong winds, and the city's predominantly wooden buildings fueled the fire's rapid and devastating spread, which ultimately destroyed a large part of the city. Mm-hmm. While the popular tale claims Mr. O'Leary's car kicked over a lantern, the origin remains a mystery, with other theories include human errors such as gambling disputes in the burn.
Damn. This is what they sold us.
Man, Chicago had brick buildings back then. How you gonna burn them down? You have to repurpose them. Chicago's always been a metropolis to us. The Grand Doula Center for the Great Chiefs was always at Cook County Hospital. We had one in New York, one in California, and what we call the City of Angels, one in Chicago, one in New Orleans, and one in Florida. Mm-hmm. Right? Each one of them Grand Doula Centers was where they looked for the Chiefs to come back. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Raw, you know something else? They said, like, it's mighty funny that in all these, and I got more clips, they're going to just break it down, but it's mighty funny that in all of our major cities, some right around the same time during this same little window, the 1920 window, that some mysterious happened, like the this incident right here that we were talking about earlier.
You don't remember we did a whole show on floods and fires?
Yeah, it's called the Organic Wars. Remember that one we did? It's called Organic Wars.
Yeah, but you should put the link in the description of this when you're done.
I put it in that form.
Don't forget to make the notes so you don't forget.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I got you. I thought it was one here where they talked about that.
And you can put the one where we talked about them turning our castles into prisons and mental institutions and state buildings.
Yeah, I got that. This right here, Rod. This was another weird one that I thought that. How did that happen?
Yeah. A large storage tank holding 2.3 million U.S. gallons of molasses burst A wave of molasses moving at an estimated 35 miles an hour west through Boston's north end.
Burning the whole damn city down.
He killed 21 people and injured 150, with residents reporting for decades that the area still smelled of molasses on hot summer days.
That's what they do. They pull these events and kind of find out that the Rockefellers was tied into this company some kind of way. I looked into it. I looked into it on AI. Right? They was tied into this.
Remember, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the Morgans, the Oppenheimer, those are all fronts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
behind the scenes. They just the ones allowed to sign the paperwork.
That's right.
They've been commissioned to sign paperwork. That's why they don't own that. They got everything in the trust. Because everything in the trust is owned by the trust, and the people that own the trust are not them. They don't own the trust. They live off the trust. The trust was established by Swiss bankers in order to give them the opulent lifestyle and the appearance of power and wealth. Mm-hmm. They're not the ones with the money. That's not old money. 100 years old is not old money. Old money go all the way back to Pharaoh's coffers, go back to the coffers of Xerxes, the coffers of Brahma. Mm-hmm. And they all owned by Big Mama. That's old money. That's ancient money.
Right. That's right.
Right? So when you realize that these people are just fronts and help you to get past the idea that some cave dwellers called out the caves and conquered some Skywalkers.
Right. Damn
Skywalker is in the name Zulu. When they came to the Zulu, them Inky sons. Right? Over here, they don't call them Zulu, they call them Hopi.
Mm-hmm.
Different tribe. Mirror tribe. Bantu. Right? All these different tribes over there have mirror tribes over here.
That's right.
And if we wasn't related, we wouldn't have mirror tribes.
That's right.
So we know they are cousins, and we don't have no problem with them, the people. We got a problem with the people that's pretending to be the power structure.
That's right.
They got a problem with it too, because they doing something about it, as we can see in real time.
That's right.
Right? We doing something about it over here, but the hard part is to convince the rest of us that we all got to wake up to the fact that something is being done by putting it in the public domain. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So once we can get enough people aware of the fact of what's taking place, the reclamation is taking place, the restoration is taking place, stop looking at yesterday, get out of the victim mentality and get in the victim mentality.
Right.
Right? Stop thinking and feeling like the loser and start feeling like a winner, and it'll change your world on a dime. You can't be a loser and a winner. Right. You can't think that you could be a winner at losing. That just make you the bump. You last all the time. But you're not last because you not putting in the work. Right? They don't want to do the self-analysis. They want to purify the ego so they can walk in a higher light. Mm-hmm. They want their light to shine, but they want to keep it in the cupboard. Mm-hmm. And it don't work like that. Mm-hmm. You can't have your light shining and put it in the cupboard expecting to be able to walk around the dark room. Mm-hmm. You will have to open that cupboard if you want to see what's going on in the room. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you might as well take the light out and sit it in the center of the room as the centerpiece to illuminate the whole room. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's going on?
Oh yeah, I got some good ones, bro. I'm telling you, they're finna get good. We know that year. That's right there, the Great Depression. Now he said, based on, and it's other brothers too, based on their research, that Empire State Building has been there at least almost 100 years before they tell them, saying it was there. So
So why would we think anything different when we know they turned our castles into prisons,
right,
state buildings, mental institutions,
right.
right? You got to look at how omission, right? How they leave stuff out on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because when you start seeing the conceptual physics of the story they telling, the math is not mathing.
Mm-mm. No kind of work.
So now you got to go do algebra and find the unknown variable, right? So we had to change. We went from one system to another system. Look, this is what if you go to a computer programmer, right, and you say, "I'm gonna wipe the memory from this computer so you have all new memory," right? He'll tell you there still remains traces of the memory in the computer from the last user.
That's right.
Right? That means that he can still go in there after you've been using it and filled it up and get the information from the prior user.
It's called a signature.
Right. So the same way with the strata of the earth. Every strata is a different cycle period. When that cycle period is over, you create a new cycle period. By changing everything, you have to destroy the old to bring in the new. Right? In India, they call them the Yuga cycles or Yuga years. Right? Some people call them Kali years. Because Kali controls time. Mama Kali controls time. Kali Ma. Right? So before there was a father time, there was a mother time. And her practitioners be called Thuggy or them thugs. And this is what it sounds like when thugs cry.
Right.
When you at the crossroad.
Right.
See, it's all in there, showing you the repeat in the cycles. It's in the art, it's in the entertainment. Everything is recycled, repurposed, and reused. If you can't see that, you won't know how to come up with nothing new. Because you're so busy stuck repeating creating what you already know.
Yeah.
What's familiar to you. But when you break the paradigm, you start to make your spirit starts to give you a different artistic expression to the world. Now you can create.
Hey, my question, you friends were my question right to go along with what we saw so far is okay then. So the slave narrative, if all these buildings was in the 1900s, that slave narrative and everything they told us pretty much is crap. Anything they told us about us that put us in a lower light, like when we slaves or servants or anything like that, that it's all lies. Anything that put us in a lower light other than, hey, you guys were supreme, just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us. Y'all are the gods of the cream of the crop, right? Anything that put us less than that before 1920. So they had to just recently come up with this slave narrative, during the Rockefeller General Educational Board, 1903, right? 1903. They had to come up with that.
The only reason why I don't say they just came up with it then is because we have like David Walker is like, who is these people on our land in bondage?
Yeah.
Right. So we had somebody from our side questioning the practice. It's not culturally accepted on this land for you to hold people in bondage. So when he seen it, he wrote the open letter for other chiefs to get a hold of it and to assess the area and see if they having the same issue. Right? So when he put the appeal out, it became a firestorm of propaganda warfare And the government came out to rebut it in newspaper articles, right? Saying they didn't never rebut the content of it. They said you should not read David Walker's appeal because it's a inflammatory rhetoric of an extremist, basically, to try to convince people not to read it. But that just made us want to read it more.
Right.
He's a crazed Negro with a wicked pen. Oh, let me read what this brother talked about. Right? So we got to keep those things in mind when we're looking at the narrative we're given. And then when we start seeing structural things that don't match the story, that's your ancestors talking from the past.
That's right.
Right? We already built it. That's why they all came. When they say we instrumental in building this country, that's because we built it.
That makes sense.
We've been here from the beginning. There was no here when we came because we had to build here so we can be here. We one with the earth, organic to nature. So we emerged in the location in which we from.
That's right.
Spirit took on body, and body walked amongst the men of the earth. It's a metaphorical formula for your consciousness awakening your human body.
All right, Rod. So let me create a timeline here, and then you tell me what you think. All right. So it had to be after the American Revolution when they created this. It had to be at least after the 1776 number or the 1773 American Revolution, 1776 the Illuminati, and then so they had to create this narrative. Based on my calculations and what I did in the other research. Is it had to happen either around after the Louisiana Purchase, like around 60 during the Civil War when they re-implement the black codes, or when they fully created that narrative. I think it had to be like 1865 after the Civil War when they created the Freedmen's Bureau, the Juneteenth fraud story, all these fraudulent stories about us being in captivity. How somebody that's slaves and savages you brought on a ship, and then all the people you saying that was over here, how all these buildings over here hundreds of years. Then some of the architects I'm going to show you, man, it's like still they had to have some type of technology. It wasn't just no chisel and hammer on this joint, man. Them boys didn't have no just no chisel and hammer on this type of architect, man.
We found all that ancient architecture, but we never found the tools they use.
Yeah, that's right.
When we find tools, is normally contemporary with primitive man tools, like bone hammer and all that. That's a sign that somebody was living off the fat of the land. That's all that means. That don't mean they didn't have technology. Right. It means that this group of people chose not to live in the areas where technology was in place because they looked at it as sorcery and magic. Technology is sorcery and magic to primitive people. The man with the fire stick, all tribes bow. Fire stick is the gun.
Right.
When primitive people see a gun for the first time, he got a fire stick.
Yeah.
He holds the power of the thunder in his hand.
Right.
And the lightning.
Right.
Because it got the flash and the boom. Mystified minds, and they begin to accept things from a different perspective.
That's right.
They are in awe at the power of the fire stick. Right? The alien coming from another planet is laughing at your switches. Because he busting your ass with lasers.
Oh, with something that disintegrates.
Yeah, he hitting you with wave weapons that paralyze your central nervous system while you standing there watching him walk up to you slow. You can't even move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Flash you and you forgot you saw me.
Yeah.
All that shit in them sci-fi movies is more legitimate than the shit in the motherfucking regular movies and the documentaries.
That bring my next question, Rod. Now, in a lot of the technology they showed in the Man in Black, I got videos of the Tartarians having all that technology, like that machine they was driving that like a roller cart thing, like all that stuff we had already invented over here already. That they
So that was called it was called a Uniwheel or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So even the Flash thing you talk about. Now, oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So we're still dealing with 19 around this time. Now, we had all this technology, and it's going to show some of this in the videos. All this free energy. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they put the mother wheel up. I think it was 1929. Now, and it's about around the same time that they tearing down all of our technology. They destroying all of our ancient healing centers. Do you think that we, our group of scientists that had already invented all this technology, said that, hey, or they had some kind of a time machine or something, they said, hey, man, these guys finna try to destroy us. So what we're going to do is we're going to all come together, build this machine, put it up there, and that way it'll be up there, and then even if he do take us all the way down, that machine going to be the backup plan. This mother wheel. Go ahead.
The mother wheel was already built.
Okay.
That's why it's called the New Jerusalem, the Crystal City in Revelation.
No, I'm not talking about that one.
Listen what I'm telling you. Just listen what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Elijah Muhammad was talking about where Farrar was explaining him the building of the mother plane. Right? And he said that they ordered parts from all of the automotive manufacturers of the era. Mm-hmm. They didn't want one of them to build the whole thing they was building, so they
compartmentalized. That's what they call it. They did it in the Air Force.
They outsourced the work for different parts of the mechanics. Mm-hmm. Now, he said it was a half mile by a half mile. That's a big ship in modern times. But in ancient times, it's just as much as building a regular airplane.
Yeah, a blimp. They had these blimps, huge blimps. Like
But the blimps are made different than the mothership.
That's right.
Right. Now, we do know, contemporary with the that the people from Germany was experimenting. Now, this is during the early 1930s. Mind you, World War II break out in the mid-30s, like 33, 34.
Yeah.
Right, and it lasts to 1945. It gradually escalated from Europe. America don't get into it 2 years later. The war has been raging.
1945.
Right, that's when it ended.
No, I'm talking about when they got popped their paperclip. That's what I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when they ended the war, they had to have a negotiated treaty. Mm-hmm. Conditions of surrender and conditions of the victor. Mm-hmm. Right. So Nazis, which is Ashkenazi, the Ashkenazis, which we call them, let's say orange juice. Right. So we calling them the juice. But reality is that's the cover story. Mm-hmm. Paperclip was an attempt to conceal who they really wanted to bring over here. Right? And those people that they really wanted to bring over here, names is not released to the public. The ones that they want you to know about, all of the ones that went into Lockheed, Scott, and NASA, and they went to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, they let their names be known for a reason. Somebody is the scapegoat, the fall guy, the patsy, the crash dummy.
Right.
The one you're exposing to the public is not the one you're trying to protect. Why would they expose to the public if they wanted to keep them safe? Think about that for a minute.
That make boy,
Operation Paperclip would have brought them in under the disguise.
That's right.
Right? So then you got to realize that the whole thing we told in the Anne Frank diaries, all that shit was made up.
Makes sense.
All of the so-called videos we see, those were not even produced in Germany. They was produced in Hollywood, California.
And that's a fake hit.
That's why they never showed. Those were coming from what we call, they used to call them back then newsreels. And they was telling the pale face over here that it wasn't no more people that looked like us in power nowhere on the planet. So they couldn't run the reel of like me and you. So they ran, the guy that played Hitler is a classmate of Charlie Chaplin from acting school.
Yeah.
The same acting school.
I seen that.
Right, they got the same mustache.
Yeah, he's actor.
It's called vaudeville. When you do your vaudevillian history, most people don't have time to do all of the history of this stuff. But when you do your vaudevillian history, you find out that the entertainment capital was New York, but they wouldn't allow the tiny hats in. So they set up their own production system in Hollywood. Right? They had to get rid of Biddy Mason first. She was the blood sacrifice. They're not going to never tell you the real story, but when you know who's the rightful heirs, it's going to tell you. Look up Biddy Mason. Biddy Mason was on most of the land that we call Los Angeles right now. They say she was born in slavery. I don't believe it.
But crap. Straight crap.
Because remember, at the time she was around, we had the largest holding of heirs land in the country out of anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If we was all slaves, how are we getting heirs land? That's land passed down the family lines. This is how they stole it from the matriarchy by marrying patriarchs on the matriarchs, and the man become the leader of the house, and he kill off the woman.
Mm-hmm.
He kill off the woman, now he can make a sharecropping deal and lose the property by the attrition model. Look up the word attrition and understand the concept of attrition. That's when you gradually do something. They didn't take all our stuff overnight. They took it over time. They told us they stole the land. It's still here.
Right.
And we still own it, in possession is 9/10 of the law, so we 99% in the right.
Right.
Well, all we got to do is put it in the public domain, and the tribes is responsible to put it in the public domain. Your enemy not responsible to tell you anything that's going to benefit you ever. He's not obligated to do it. Now, if he didn't plan on doing it, it's your responsibility to see beyond what the enemy is telling you and what's really taking place. All these cities is ancient metropolises: Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland. Cleveland used to be the congregation center for a big family union called the Browns. This is why their sports team is the Browns.
Right.
The Browns is one of the largest tribes on the land, old Mississippians. And they settled in what they used to call Cleveland territory. Cleveland is it's a play on the word cleaver, which is actually making reference to what we call a mohawk, a tomahawk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same instrument made from two different places. The cleaver came from Asia. The tomahawk came from over here. We just use the tools different. They still used to use them to chop food up and cook. Just like they'll chop your head off to where they do take your head. It's the same with swords in Arabia. The Arabian sword don't look like the European sword.
That's right. You got like a little
samurai sword don't look like the Arabian sword or the European sword. And they don't even call it a sword, they call it a katana.
That's right.
Right? So the tool is different, But a swordsman is a swordsman no matter which one of the sword disciplines he came from. It's just that they all use a different tool to accomplish the same job. But the tool is similar and serve the same purpose. Right? So when you look at the Spartans' helmet, that's the Mohawks tribes. The Mohawks is a tribe led by a Mohawk chief who wore his hair like that in order for his tribesmen to be able to see him.
Black Hawk.
Everybody in the tribe didn't wear the Mohawk. Only certain warriors that was on the front lines wore the Mohawk. The rest of them wore braids, locks, clothes.
That's right.
You know, some wore feathers in their hair, some didn't. Some weaved leather in their hair. But they all knew that when they seen that Mohawk leading the charge, they knew then that this is the way that we had to go to pursue the fight. They tell us that they came from Spartans, and that's their helmet. That's our haircut in war.
Right.
Our war garb is expressed in our cultural remembrance. Right? From how when you repping your hood, you're wearing your flag. Flags are European in origin. They not from over here. We used to wear it in our garb. Old Mississippian wolf tribe. He coming to the war dressed like a damn wolf.
Right.
Old Mississippian Bison Clan. He's coming to the war dressed like a buffalo. The Black Panther King. They coming to the war dressed in a Black Panther skin. Because that was their initiation rite for the times of war. We wasn't wearing that stuff on no day-to-day basis. We was dapper down. Ask them boys in New Orleans. That's where we used to manufacture our new dress styles out of New Orleans. But every tribe gave it their own swag. Ain't none of this stuff new.
Nope.
The remembrance got to come from where the fall took place. New York.
Yeah.
The Dutch. New Amsterdam became New Yorkshire, became New York. Right? So what has to happen? During the time of the awakening, the remembrance call has to come from the first place to fall to the foreign invasion. And then you end up with New York being the birthplace of modern hip-hop, which traces back to the Mississippi Delta Blues, to the old Mississippian clans who sang them stories on the front porch, entertaining Big Ma and the family. They call them stand-up comedians. We used to call them uncles on the porch.
Right.
Right? Because at nighttime, we didn't have no TV. We didn't listen to the radio. The family had a band in the barn. We had fires around which we told stories. The stories we told around our pumpkin festival became known as horror stories or scary stories. And only certain Greeks was qualified to tell the story because he could keep you hung on his words. And when he slammed his head together like a door slamming while he's explaining it to you, you jump like you there. But it's also a training exercise on how to focus the mind. So everything we did served the educational purpose and the functional purpose. What we consider as entertainment, we used to use it to educate each other. They gave us education in what they call diction format. That means we being dictated to what to think. That's not what we used to do. We used to give knowledge by abstract format, open air education. Not four wall, Skinner box, Pavlovian bells response systems. Right? This is why you got professors, because all they doing is professing.
Right. Professor no.
right? But the professor is the dictator. Because when you go to class, he's giving dictation. He's telling you how to think and what to think.
Right.
You have to write it down so you can parrot it back to make sure that you are taking the dictation properly. Straight up the wazoo.
Damn. Got it.
It's all in the lingo of the language and they're telling the story, but they don't know what they're telling you.
That's cold, boy. That's a cold piece. All right, that's my stop right there. I got a couple more, but we wrote a couple of them. Now I got a couple of questions I wrote down. Now, Rod, so I bet like me, I do a lot of study on the extraterrestrial stuff, and I connect the Rockefellers and these German guys back with this group of extraterrestrials called the Aldebarans, and it seemed like to me, I believe it's an agenda. I believe the Aldebarans is in on the agenda with these black Yaku Enlil gang. That I believe that some extraterrestrials reset us. Enlil and them reset us recently, like less than 100 years ago. What you think about that, Rod? That some extraterrestrial, because it's like they use laser weapons. Fires couldn't have burned, just burn all that stuff.
You remember earlier in the same dialogue, earlier in the show, okay, I told you that a lot of this is the result of post-nuclear holocaust.
Okay.
We call them pyramid wars when you talk about the primary points of activity from which the wars was fought. The bases were constructed under the pyramid construction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we talk about the Manus wars, now we're not talking about wars that's fought from the pyramids. We're talking about aerial warfare. When you look up the Gandiva is also called the planet destroyer. Yeah. It's a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
And the Gandiva is what we was having the pyramid wars when we had nuclear holocaust that caused the nuclear winter that we closing out the cycle of recovery from.
Yeah.
It was total annihilation. It's not the first time. Remember that show we did about the Great Human Bottleneck?
Yeah.
Where all of there was only like 1,500 people left?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. If it was only 1,500 people left, history should tell each one of their names.
Right.
That's not a lot of people.
No. Yeah.
History don't record their names. Mm. So you saying that everybody on Earth come from 150 from 1,500 people.
Numbers don't line up.
Right? So, where's the diversity in the genetics so vast if it's only 1,500 people and that was like 200-some thousand years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, they call in people Neanderthals. Neanderthals was already gone.
Right.
Right? So, we know they ain't Neanderthals. We walk on the same scale they use them to determine who a Neanderthal is. They have something called Homo sapien, Homo erectus, and Cro-Magnon. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Then the ones before that, you have your Australopithecus, right? Then you have your Gigantopithecus. You got your Zinjopithecus. All these can be looked up. Mm-hmm. Right? You have your Peking man. All these different genetic stocks of human don't exist no more. What happened to the genetics where those genetic blueprints was no longer available? Right? Then you got something called Proconsul, which is a early Australopithecine, closer related to a chimpanzee. That's what they say Lucy was.
Mm.
3.5 million years ago was the age of proconsul. But it was people back then. It's always been people like us on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we look at them, we probably the ones that tore down the old civilization to fight the war. Before you have my house, I tear this SOB down. Then give it to you. We could have did it. But our responsibility is to reverse engineer the sacred drift.
Mm.
Remember, it's a Moorish paradigm. Right? If you reverse the sacred drift, you can then turn back the clock of destiny to read what was taking place in the era. Right? And the order of the round table tell you which angle to look at in order to see the center. Right? So when we understand the sciences behind what's being told in the literature, they telling both sides of the story.
Mm.
Right? And now you have to look at it from the tribal side of the story instead of the settler side of the story. That's called a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is when you suddenly see something from a different direction. It changes the way you perceive what you saw. The whole paradigm shifts. What you might have thought originally came for your destruction ended up being your salvation.
Mm.
When your paradigm shifted, you was able to see it. But you was in the old paradigm, you was stuck in victim mode. Right? That's what they were socially engineering us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when we putting it all back together and we showing the historical anomalies, the paper genocide, the cultural appropriation of our modern culture, why would you not think they wasn't appropriating our ancient culture back then? So then when you see who's the one that's appropriating our culture, then you get to see who the actual ones are that belong and who don't. We use our culture to teach spiritual lessons. So if they take the weaving job from the tribe that does the blankets, right? That's a spite to the Anasazi, which came with the Great Mother to teach them how to weave the baskets and weave the blankets and weave the clothes and sew with the needle, right? These are spiritual practices that serve a practical purpose in the community. So the blanket tribes come and give you a blanket to let you know they respect you and they love you and that they whatever they can do to protect you, they're going to do it spiritually or physically. But then you got a whole nother group that learn to sew with the needle and they're going to come and give you moccasins. Right? Because they what we call slipper clans. In the Spanish world, they got something called the chancla. But why do the Samoan Big Mamas have one too, but she don't call it a chancla? Right? And they do it over here. Mama gonna bust you upside the head with that shoe.
That's funny.
But it's a symbol of matriarchal authority. So when you get your blessings, they come in the form of the slippers. The slippers show that you walk the right path. And then they have messages in the tapestry of the item that they gifting you. And over time, the message reveals itself. Sometimes you instantly know when you see it because it might be tied to an emotional event that made them choose to honor you. You rescued the daughter of the chief from drowning by dropping what you was doing, diving into the river while it was raging. Right? So they become emotionally involved. So when you see the art on the blanket telling you a story about rescuing somebody out the river, it's all told in the story of the art. So there's stuff like that. But all of that has been appropriated now to industrial manufacturing on a wholesale level, using less than proper quality of material, using substitutes and artificials in place of originals and things that harmonize with the frequency and energy of the intentions that's infused in the product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So you see, they told you about blending fabrics and they booked the Bible. If blending fabrics was always okay, they wouldn't have a restriction on it in their book that's supposed to go back 2,000 years.
Mm.
Right? Well, why are they concerned about blending fabrics? When you go do what they call fabric frequency testing, then it'll make sense.
Why natives built certain things, or we did certain things. It makes sense.
Everything had a reason.
I got another question for you, Rod. So the free energy thing, they made something about the free energy, that we have free energy. Like we ain't need no money because we had like most of everything was free. And then whatever you needed, you really just traded for it. But then when Rockefeller come, all of a sudden now coal and oil. So could you go in? Why they didn't want us to have free energy? Because they couldn't charge us. They couldn't control us if we had everything free, right?
You see the movie Sinners?
Sinners. Seemed like I heard that movie.
Michael B. Jordan is the twins. Smoking Stack.
Nah, I hadn't seen that one.
All right, we need to watch it for this part.
Right now.
They build a juke joint from the old sawmill, and they open up the juke joint, and then you have they coming in there. The people coming to the juke joint. Some of them is spending Federal Reserve notes, but then some of them is spending what we call plantation currency. Now, they didn't want the plantation currency. The twins didn't. They wanted the Federal Reserve notes. But in that little area around there, you can spend the plantation dollar just like any other money.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the family banks that they call plantation banks. They issue plantation money. They didn't pay slaves. Why would you have plantation money when you don't pay slaves? Think about that. Let that sink in. You pay workers, employees.
Yeah.
Right? You pay family members for their help and their support on the farm. Right? Mm-hmm. And because your goods still gonna sell at the market, the type of currency you use for your currency is represented in the value of the product you produce. The reason why they turned it into plantation currency, because they don't want you to understand banking. You got to remember, Frederick Douglass single-handedly funded a bank in I think it was North or South Carolina.
Yeah.
Where did he get that kind of money from if he was a damn slave?
Right. He was a king, actually. Prince.
Right. So now he get out of slavery and pass everybody in the country. That don't even make sense.
Nah, he that was King George III's son.
And then he beat up the slave master. Remember that? Yeah. And didn't get lynched.
Yeah.
That don't make sense either. Not with the narrative we've been fed.
Yeah.
His whole story becomes questionably fantastic.
Yeah.
Based on what they told us about the era, the temperature and climate of the people of the era, there's no way he whooped the slave master and went home and went to bed and woke up the next morning with no problems.
Hell no.
It's not going to happen unless they telling us a goddamn lie.
less happened in Rosewood, and they killed the whole damn town.
Mm-hmm. Rosewood was more than just that incident. It was Black Wall Street in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
They were self-sufficient. They had their own currency.
Right.
Right? You got to remember, they was funding their own banks with pennies.